Today we're going to be going over 10 fragrances that I would choose to purchase for the rest of my life. And that's assuming, of course, they keep these around long enough to be able to purchase them over the course of several years as you run out. But I think, as we all know, for a lot of these, that's probably relatively unlikely, but at least it makes for an interesting topic. With how quickly they run through new flankers and therefore discontinuing old scents to make room for all of the new releases, who knows what we're going to end up with even just in just a few short years. But I'll tell you, these are so good, these are so fitting for me and for my taste and for what I like that I don't see myself ever getting tired of them. We've got a mixture of a few newer fragrance releases here, which have really caught my attention quickly and have kind of rose to the top of my rotation, but also we've got some older, kind of more classics, I guess you could call them, some things that I've had in my collection for a long time that, again, is proof that nothing has changed. I mean, some of these, at least a couple, date back to pretty close to when I first started my collection, and they're still going strong for me. I still enjoy them. So like always, I'm going to put links to what I talk about today down below in the video description. We're going to get things kicked off with actually a new release. This one really surprised me. I love how it smells. It is Azzaro Forever Wanted Elixir. It's all about the raspberry, the leather, the cardamom. I love this stuff, and you know, I love Wanted by Night, Most Wanted Parfum, and so on. I've talked about those a lot, but this newest release here really caught me by surprise because, at least in my mind, I wasn't really expecting to get anything that was much better than the ones that I just mentioned there. Those were kind of at the top of my list for the most wanted, or the wanted lineup, I should say. But this one came along and was really impressive. And I do really like the raspberry leather combination. This is not the first fragrance to do it, of course. That has been done quite often, and it's a great combination. You know, you think back to like a Tom Ford Tuscan leather, and I can tell you that this and Tuscan leather could not be more different. So we're really talking completely different leagues here, and that just goes to show just all the different variations of notes in particular, and just the combination that you can use with other notes to create a product that is completely different, even though on paper you see the two main accords being shared between the two. It might look similar. They're definitely not. This Azzaro is much, much sweeter. It doesn't have the same type of earthy leather accord that Tuscan leather has. And then also it does have more of that new style Azzaro Wanted type of sweetness that is just very common and trendy these days. A little bit of a cardamom spice in here as well, just to give you a little bit of a spicy texture, mostly off the opening. That does dissipate as you get further on in the dry down. I love it. I think it smells absolutely amazing, especially for fall and winter as we're moving into the cool season here. This is going to be a great one to wear. It's an amazing performer as well, and on discounters, usually right around $100. So not too terribly priced either, and over time that price should come down a bit more. This next one is YSL L'Homme. It's the Eau de Parfum. I love this stuff so much, and it really goes back to the original L'Homme for me. You know, that's why I like this, because it smells similar. And the original L'Homme, at first, I liked it better than La Nuit de L'Homme, and this was, again, back when I was first starting out my collection. Over time, I started to really appreciate La Nuit de L'Homme more, and now it's just kind of like hard to choose a favorite because they're for completely different situations. But this Eau de Parfum version basically captures that original L'Homme smell, just kind of that apple, ginger, lavender, gentleman's type of smell, and then gives it a sweeter twist with the addition of cognac, some bitter orange, and some oak and cedar wood. It just gives it more of a nighttime smell, more of an evening out kind of refined and mysterious date night type of smell, which is what I like about this. The fact that you can have the original L'Homme for normal day-to-day use, and then you could spray this one right over top as you head into the evening if you wanted to switch it up. You really can't go wrong with either version, although I would say, at least in 2025, if you were to only get one, I would probably go for the Eau de Parfum. Main reason being, it does perform better. And I think that it kind of just fits in with what the current landscape is more now. And again, I'm not saying that the original L'Homme is obsolete and dated or anything. It's the furthest from that. But I think that if you're only making one purchase and you want to try to make the best purchase possible for the money, I would probably put your money into this EDP. I think overall you'll get better results out of it long term, but if you wanted to get both, you can't really go wrong with that either. There's not a whole lot of redundancy because this really does go in a much sweeter and more kind of powdery, boozy direction, and that oak in here really smells great. This next one is Givenchy Gentleman. It's the Eau de Parfum, just the regular EDP. I love the Reserve Privé and really so many of the flankers, but I'll tell you, it's so hard to beat just Gentleman EDP. This was I think it was a 2017 release. I could be wrong on that one by maybe a year or two, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So 2017 was the year I actually got started into kind of really diving into collecting fragrances, and then I started my channel at the end of 2017. So this was kind of the new kid on the block and really quickly got popular. And of course, the reason why is because it's following in similar footsteps to L'Homme Intense, which at the time was kind of at the top of the designer hype trend as well in the fragrance community. And so what was so appealing about this one is that it smells similar to that with the iris, but really it focuses a lot on vanilla. And vanilla, a little bit of tonka bean, but mostly vanilla focused here, which ultimately gives it a little bit more of an approachable smell, a little bit more of a designer level smell, because that Dior could be a little bit extreme and out there for some people who, you know, want to play it a little bit more safe. And this was the answer to that. This is kind of what a lot of people really wanted. And so of course it took off big time. You know, back when it was first out and kind of settled down and got in on discounters, it was pretty much consistently at around $50. Over the years, the price has gone up a little bit. I don't even know off the top of my head what it's sitting at now. Probably maybe $70 for 100 ml. Not horrible still, but it's at one point it was like, you know, much more affordable than L'Homme Intense, and now it's still more affordable, but just not quite as much. You know, again, price point aside, this one is much more approachable and wearable overall, and I do love how it smells. And you know, I love L'Homme Intense, L'Homme Parfum, but there's still something about this one. It's just so easygoing, so smooth, and really, really nice. This next one is, it comes as no surprise, and it could either be this or, you know, Invictus Aqua or something. We're just kind of taking bets on which one's going to be around longer, I guess. Rasasi Hawas. You know, at this point, I mean, this has not been discontinued a single time. They haven't taken it away and then brought it back as a limited edition. In fact, they've expanded the line with several flankers. I think this is here to stay for at least quite a while. Can't say the same for Invictus Aqua, considering they've, you know, brought it out and re-released it like 3 or 4 times at this point. So I have less faith in that line sticking around. Luckily, that's okay. I have enough bottles of that primarily to last me for a long time anyway, but I also have Rasasi Hawas, which still does a similar thing. It's not exact to Invictus Aqua 2016, 2024, or whatever, but it's still really close, and it achieves a similar goal, which is essentially having something that is this fruity-based aquatic with a ton of ambroxan and amazing performance. Now, the good thing here too is that this is $20. The Invictus Aqua is usually closer to 100. This next one is Versace Eros Energy. At this point, we know the original Eros isn't going anywhere. Again, they've built a really expansive line of flankers at this point. It looks like they're not stopping. But this Energy version is the first true fresh summer variant that we've gotten, which is kind of crazy to think about. I mean, really, let that sink in. The original Eros has been out for so long, and we've had these other flankers, but they never branched out that much. The closest we got was Eros Flame, and it is fresher than the original series, but still not really summer oriented. Still had a lot of that sweetness, focused on orange, but then still plenty of vanilla and black pepper and stuff like that. Still pretty sweet. This is like straight up full on fresh and summery. Very, very strongly focused on this bergamot lemon combination and little bits and pieces of this Mont Blanc Explorer / Creed Aventus type of similarity that you get a little bit later on. It's like a very, very citric, sour, and bright Mont Blanc Explorer is kind of how you could describe it. And I say Mont Blanc Explorer because it has characteristics similar to Explorer, meaning kind of the more waterwood focused approach where it's not like super depth rich and not super potent like Aventus, Club de Nuit Intense Man, especially the EDP and Parfum. Those are really, really heavy, really rich, and really zones in on that Aventus smell. Explorer took a little bit of a lighter approach, and it is noticeable, especially when you've spent as much time with Aventus as I have. And this, again, is more so that type of approach, a lighter, less rich approach on Aventus, which there's nothing wrong with that. This is still going to be an amazing compliment getter that people are going to absolutely love. It's an amazing performer coming in at an eau de parfum concentration, and I would buy this year over year, even though I have those other ones that I just said, Aventus, all the clones, really, I mean, pretty much all of them. There's still a time and a place for this, and for me, what I like so much about it is that opening. That lemon kind of bergamot, lime, citric, sour opening is absolutely amazing. If you haven't tried this, you need to just to experience it, because it really is one that is just bright, refreshing, and very satisfying. It smells amazing. Let's go for Rochas Man Intense up next. Kind of got a weird bottle on this one, but it is it's interesting nonetheless. Now, if you can't find the Intense, go for the original. As far as scent goes, they're very close. The Intense is going to be just a little bit heavier, a little bit better performing, but other than that, if you can get the original for, you know, 25, 30 bucks, get it. Basically, they're both focused around this nice, dusty, kind of powdery cappuccino note. So very coffee leaning here, kind of gourmand, but, you know, in a $30 scent, which to get something that's this good and this unique for that price point is a little bit uncommon. Typically, your fragrances in this price range are going to be fresher leaning and not quite as interesting, but these do offer just a lot of depth, really, for the price. I think this is perfect for fall. In fact, fall would be about the only time of year I would wear this type of thing. It's not quite heavy enough for winter, and it's going to be too sweet most cases for spring and summer. Spring, I'm looking at green stuff, and summer, I'm obviously not looking at anything coffee-based. So fall is the perfect time of year to wear something like Rochas Man, both the original or the Intense. And this one is great. Let's go over to a summer scent again with Acqua di Gio Profondo. It's a big old 200 ml bottle. It's basically full. I don't really wear this one all that often. I've got my 125, but this one does look cool on camera. Frosted glass. This is the older style bottle. The new, like, just Profondo EDP is out now. Same thing. If that's what you can get for a good price, get that. The older style, 120 ml or 125, one of the two, still does float around from time to time. You can get that too if you want. Again, it's not really worth getting too wrapped up in. It's all about the orange and the mineral notes and the aquatic or watery notes as well. I love Profondo. It's just a very unique take on an otherwise very common DNA, which is just aquatic. I mean, that's kind of the number one most common type of smell, at least in more affordable fragrances, I would say. All of the Nauticas, all of the, you know, or at least a lot of the Tommy Hilfigers and Calvin Kleins and stuff, you take a look at that, most of them are fresh and aquatic, the Tommy Bahamas as well. Why? Because I think they're just the cheapest and easiest to produce. And so when you have all of that out there, how do you make an aquatic stand out? Well, I don't know the answer myself, but I can say that they did it here with this. So keep doing that, you know, but this really does stand out. I've never smelled anything else like this, which is pretty remarkable. Go for something more affordable here with John Varvatos Artisan Pure. This is a beauty of a scent. It's perfect for spring, kind of like what I was talking about a second ago, kind of green, herbal, fresh. This is what I'm going to be going for in spring. This is about the only time I would wear this as well. Summertime, I've got other options that I'm going for, but springtime is perfect for Artisan Pure. Such a clean, pure, bright, vibrant smell that really does smell like the outdoors in a nutshell. This one had its little moment as well several years back, got really popular in the community, and the price was pretty high. At this point, it is more than stabilized, and generally you could pick this up for about $30 for a 125 ml full presentation bottle just like this, which is just such a great deal. I mean, you get so much fragrance for the price, not just amount, but just in terms of what it is. It's such a unique blend for such a low amount of money. Gucci Guilty Elixir coming in at a small little 60 ml bottle here. This is a favorite of mine just because it reminds me of something else out there, Reflection 45. There are differences. There is a little bit more of an iris focus in here, but also, you know, the orange blossom is pretty prominent. You don't quite get a super orange blossom forward focus on Reflection 45. Again, they're not exact. Never claimed it to be, but definitely reminds me pretty heavily of that Reflection DNA. More so the extrait because of the sweetness that this has, that also the extrait has at least a little bit of. If you don't like white floral fragrances, this is something you're not going to be into, and I definitely wouldn't blind buy it because it is expensive, as you could probably imagine. However, if you're somebody who's been a regular fan of, you know, men's floral scents, and or maybe you really like Reflection Man and you just know that you're into that general type of thing, then I don't see why this wouldn't be something that you would like. You know, you can pretty easily probably find this in stores to sample it first or whatever, but I do really like it. I wouldn't buy it in stores. I would buy it on discounters, so that way you can get, you know, some pretty good savings off of retail. I don't even know what it retails for. I can't remember, but I know it's not cheap. I think like $170, $180 or something, which is pretty crazy. Last up for this video, you know I had to put it in, Straight to Heaven by Kilian. One of my all-time favorites from the brand and just in general. This one has rum, cedarwood, patchouli, and dried fruits. One of the best boozy fragrances I've ever smelled. It's so realistic in the sense of actually smelling like, I don't know, aged oak barrels or something with this rum, and the dried fruits are giving it a little bit of a balance. It's just, I mean, it's truly intoxicating. That would be a great way to describe this one. You smell it one time and you know that it is something special and incredible, you know, and I haven't really experienced anything else quite like this one. It just really stands out. I will buy this for as long as they make it. Alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. Some fragrances that I will rebuy for life, assuming I have the ability to do so and they're not discontinued. I'll drop links to everything down below. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.